Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, January 26, 2022. Today I'm going to recap everything from last night, look ahead to today in all the sports, and then Australian Open as well, news and notes, and best bets. So I'm going to try to get a quick show in. We're going to start something different today. NHL is going to be the starting point on today's show. We'll go over the games from last night, look ahead to everything tonight. Sens over the Sabres 5-0. Sens 13-20-3, Buffalo 13-22-7. Number 3 star with an assist. Tim Stützle, number 2 star of the game with 32 saves on 32 shots. Matt Murray, number 1 star of the game with a hat trick. Tyler Ennis. Stars over the Devils 5-1. The Stars 22-16-2. Devils 15-21-5. Number 3 star of the game didn't have a point, but just played well. Brian Sutter. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist. Root Pintz. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and 2 assists. Joe Pavelski. Penguins over the Coyotes 6-3. Penguins 27-10-5. Arizona 10-27-4. Number 3 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists. Brian Russ. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists. Sidney Crosby. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals. Chris Letang. Hurricanes over the Golden Knights 4-3. Carolina 28-9-2. Vegas 25-15-3. This was an overtime winner for Sebastian Aho, who is the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals. Number 2 star with a goal, Nino Niederreiter. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists, Andrei Svechnikov. Islanders over the Flyers 4-3. Isles 15-14-6. Philly 13-22-8. Number 3 star of the game didn't play, or I should say didn't have a point, but had his record streak come in through fruition today with his, I believe it's like 600 and something consecutive game, Keith Yandel, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. 965th game, which is insane. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Matt Barzal. Number 1 star of the game with a goal and assist, Zach Parise. Panthers over the Jets 5-3. The Panthers 29-9-5. Winnipeg 17-15-7. Number 3 star of the game with a goal and an assist, Antoine Lindell. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Cole Perfetti. And the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, Mason Marchment. Oilers over the Canucks 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Connor McDavid. Edmonton 20-16-2. Vancouver 18-19-5. Number 3 star of the game with a goal, Tyler Mott. Number 2 star of the game with 2 goals, Leon Draisaitl. Number 1 star of the game with 47 saves on 50 shots, Spencer Martin. Predators over the Kraken 4-2. The Preds 27-14-3. Seattle 13-25-4. Number 3 star of the game with a goal, James McCann. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Marcus Johansson. Number 1 star of the game with 33 saves on 35 shots, Jose Saro. Now I look ahead to tonight. There's 5 games. 7 o'clock, Ducks Maple Leafs from Toronto. So Freddie Anderson Bowl, as I like to call this, because he used to be on both those teams, not anymore. Toronto's minus 310, Anaheim's plus 245, over under 6, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Anaheim plus 1.5 is minus 108, Toronto minus 1.5 is minus 112. I like Anaheim plus 1.5 at minus 108. I think this will be a closer game than a lot of people expect. I just don't understand the disrespect for Anaheim in the betting market right now. So give me Anaheim plus 1.5 at minus 108. Sharks Capitals. Capitals minus 215. Sharks plus 176. Over under 6. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 144. Caps minus 1.5 is plus 118. This is a tough one. The Sharks are playing really good hockey right now. And the Capitals, I think, are overvalued in the market because it's a game on the East Coast. I am going to go with the over 6 at minus 102. Flames, Blue Jackets. Flames minus 188. Columbus plus 155. Over under 6. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. Flames minus 1/2 is plus 132. Blue Jackets plus 1/2 is minus 164. Calgary's kind of fallen off a little bit, but they should win this game. I'm going to say Calgary in regulation at minus 115. 7:30 Blackhawks, Red Wings from Detroit. Detroit's minus 122. Chicago's plus 102. Over under 5.5 minus 110 each way. Chicago plus 1/2 is minus 260. Detroit minus 1/2 is plus 205. I'm going to go under 5.5 minus 110. Chicago Red Wings is always a low scoring game, it feels like, so I'm going to go with the under. And then the nightcap on TNT. It's a great game. Bruins, Avs. Avs minus 188. Bruins plus 155. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Bruins plus 1/2 is minus 162. Avs minus 1/2 is plus 132. You would think that this is Kenny Albertelli old check game. But this one I'm going to go with under 6.5 at minus 140. I think this is a low scoring game. All right, now I'll move on to the NBA. We will recap last night's results and look ahead to a busy window for today. Nuggets over the Pistons, 110-105. Nuggets, 25-21. Detroit, 11-36. Cade Cunningham, 34 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. He was tremendous. Nikola Jokic, 28 points, 21 boards, 9 assists. Holy crap. Raptors over the Hornets, 125-113. Toronto, 23-22. Charlotte, 26-22. Gary Trent Jr. had 32 points for Toronto, and LaMelo had 25-7 for Charlotte. The Clippers come back from 35 down to defeat the Wizards, 116-115 on a game-winning 4-point play by Luke Kennard. Clippers go to 24-25, Washington 23-25. Amir Coffey had 29 points for the Clips, and Bradley Beal had 23 and 6 assists for Washington. 76ers over the Pelicans, 117-107. Philly 28-19, New Orleans 18-29. Joel Embiid 42 points, 14 boards. Nickeil Alexander-Walker 31 and 5 assists for New Orleans. Celtics over the Kings 128-75. The Celtics 25-24. Sacramento 18-31. Jason Tatum had 36 points and Buddy Hield had 11. Lakers over the Nets 106-96. Lakers 24-24. Brooklyn 29-18. LeBron James, 33 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. And James Harden, 33 points, 12 boards, 11 assists. Spurs over the Rockets, 134-104. Spurs, 18-30. Houston, 14-34. DeJounte Murray had 19 and 10 assists. And Kevin Porter Jr. had 16 and 9 assists. Warriors over the Mavericks, 130-92. Golden State, 35-13. Dallas, 27-21. Jonathan Kuminga, 22 points to lead the way for Golden State. And Luka Doncic had 25 with 8 boards for Dallas. Timberwolves over the Trailblazers, 109-107. Minnesota, 24-23. Portland, 20-27. Anthony Edwards, 40 points for Minnesota. And Jusuf Nurkic had 20 with 14 boards for Portland. Now we look ahead to tonight's games. 7 o'clock, we have the Bucks and the Cavaliers from Cleveland. My projection is Milwaukee by 4 1/8, total 214.75. Meanwhile, it is 4.5 and 217.5 under. Hornets Pacers. My projection is Charlotte by 11 1/4, total 223. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 225.5. That is so low. Give me the Charlotte. That's insane. And no Malcolm Brogdon either. Clips Magic. My projection is Clips by 7 and 7/8, total 212.4. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 210.5. Laying the points to the Clips. 7:30 Kings Hawks. My projection is the Hawks by 9.5, total 223.95. Meanwhile, it's 8 and 233.5 under. ESPN 7:30 Knicks Heat. My projection is Miami by 8 and 7/8, total 210.45. And it is 6.5 and 203. I'm just checking to see who's calling the game for ESPN. I have to guess. I'm going to say, because it's the Knicks, Mike Breen and Doris Burke. That's who it feels like it's going to be. And let's see. This is college basketball. Doesn't say. This is bizarre. But in terms of a podcast pick, I'm going to go with the over for Knicks Heat. 8 o'clock Nuggets Nets from the Barclays Center. My projection is Brooklyn by 2 1/8, total 218.2. Meanwhile, it's Denver 1.5, total 225.5. Under. I understand Jokic and all, but I really think that that it's going to be a lower scoring game. Next up is Raptors Bulls. My projection is Chicago by 4 1/4, total 215.8. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 218.5. Very close. So I'm going to go with the under. Grizzlies Spurs. My projection is Memphis by 6 5/8, total 220.9. Meanwhile, it's 4 and 228. Under. Um, 10 o'clock ESPN Suns Jazz. My projection is Suns by 5 3/4, so 219.25. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 221.5. Under. And then the Mavs and the Blazers. My projection is Dallas by 7 7/8, so 214.2. Meanwhile, it's 4.5 and 215.5. I'm laying the 4.5 at Dallas. And if I had to guess who's calling the Suns Jazz game for ESPN, I'd say maybe I would say potentially like Mark Jones with Jeff Van Gundy or Mark Jackson. And then Mike Breen and Doris Burke with Knicks Heat. Because you know that they tend to give favoritism towards the Knicks. I'm trying to see, like, who's calling the games. I guess we won't know. But that's okay. We'll move on. All right, college basketball. We'll recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to the games being played tonight, which is a lot. Richmond over Rhode Island, 70-63. Georgia over Alabama, 82-76. Number 9, Duke over Clemson, 71-69. Number 24, Illinois over number 10, Michigan State, 56-55. Even without one of the key players for Illinois, Kofi Cockburn. Number 14, Villanova over DePaul, 67-43. Northern Kentucky over Rice State, 73-63. Charleston over William & Mary, 74-73. Dayton over Fordham, 68-61. Yale over Columbia, 83-72. Iona over Siena, 74-57. Temple over Cincinnati, 61-58. Indiana State over Missouri State, 76-72. Ohio over Northern Illinois, 74-62. Bowling Green over Eastern Michigan, 85-71. Akron over Central Michigan, 60-56. Kansas State over Western Michigan, 75-64. Toledo over Buffalo, 86-75. Ball State over Miami of Ohio, 81-64. Number 4, Baylor over Kansas State, 74-49. North Dakota State over St. Thomas, Minnesota, 77-56. Pitt over Syracuse, 64-53. Loyola Chicago over Southern Illinois, 59-47. Maryland over Rutgers, 68-60. Number 1 Auburn over Missouri, 55-54. Number 20 UConn over Georgetown, 96-53 or 73. Number 12 Kentucky over Mississippi State, 82-74 in overtime. Texas over TCU, 73-50. Colorado State over Nevada, 77-66. Fresno State over New Mexico, 65-60. Boise over Wyoming, 65-62. Colorado over Oregon, 82-78. UC Santa Barbara over Cal State Northridge, 72-45. Air Force over San Jose State, 63-53. And number 7 UCLA over number 3 Arizona, 75-59. Now we look ahead to the games for tonight. Florida, Tennessee on ESPN2 at 6 o'clock. My projection is Tennessee, your number 18 team in the country, by 9 7/8. And it is 9.5 and 134.5. Over. Winthrop and USC Upstate. My projection is Winthrop by 17 7/8, and it's 6 and 144.5. I'm laying the 6 with Winthrop. 6:30 CBS Sports Network. Number 17 Providence and number 21 Xavier. My projection is Xavier by 6.5, and it's 8.5 and 138. I'm taking Providence in the points. Fox Sports 1 Creighton Butler. My projection is Butler by 1, and it's Creighton 4.5 total 126.5. I'm taking Butler plus 4.5 and plus 164 to win outright. Big Ten Network, Northwestern Michigan. My projection is Michigan by 13 and 5/8, and it's 8 and 140. I'm laying the 8. 7 o'clock, Old Dominion Charlotte. My projection is Charlotte by 6 and 3/8, and it's 3 and 132. I'm laying the points. New Hampshire, Maine. My projection is New Hampshire by 11 and 5/8, and it is 12 and 127. Wait, the game's at New Hampshire? Are you serious? Let's see here. The game's at New Hampshire. Oh, I did that incorrectly. I wrote New Hampshire at Maine. So my projection line should be minus 17 and 5/8. Sorry, guys. Didn't realize that. 12 and 127. I'm still laying the points. St. Peter's, Marist. My projection is Marist by 3 and 5/8. And it is let's see here. St. Peter's, Marist. I can't find this one either. Now, is this game postponed? That would be crazy. We just don't have a line. Oh, well. BU Lafayette. My projection is BU by 8 and 7/8. And let's see. BU Lafayette. Four and 133. I'm going to lay the 4. SMU, South Florida. My projection is SMU by 12 and 5/8. And it's 8 and 133. I'm laying the points. Army Lehigh. My projection is Army 9 and 1/4. And it is 1 and 143.5. I'm laying the 1. Holy Cross American. My projection is American by 8 7/8. And it's 5 and 133.5. I'm laying the 5. Navy Bucknell. My projection is Navy by 10 and 5/8. And it's 8 and 135.5. I'm laying the 8. NTT and Longwood. My projection is Longwood by 6 1/4. And it's 8 and 139.5. I'm going to go with the over. Radford High Point. My projection is High Point by 3/8. And it is 3 and 127. I'm taking Radford in the 3, and I think they can win too. They're plus 130 straight up. Presbyterian and Charleston Southern. My projection is Presbyterian by 5 1/4. And it's 5.5 and 132.5. Over. Hampton Campbell. My projection is Campbell by 19 1/8. And it is, let's see here. Okay, 12 and 123. I'm laying the 12. Miami and Virginia Tech on the ACC Network. My projection is a pick'em. Haven't had a pick'em projection in a minute. And it is 5 and 136.5. I'm taking Miami getting the 5. I don't know if they're going to win, but they'll come close. BC and North Carolina. My projection is North Carolina by 20 and 5/8, which is insane. And I don't see a line for that one for whatever reason. Let's see. UNC by 13.5, total 146.5. I'm laying the 13.5 at UNC. Vermont and Stony Brook. My projection is Vermont by 3/8. And it is 7.5 and 142.5. I take Stony Brook plus a 7.5. I think they can win too. They're plus 235. NJIT and UMBC. My projection is UMBC by 7 3/4. And it is 8 and 135.5. I'll take the over. Binghamton and Hartford. My projection is Hartford by 4 7/8. Meanwhile, 7.5 and 141. I'm taking Binghamton plus a 7.5. Albany and UMass Lowell. My projection for this game is Lowell by 8 1/4, and it's 5.5 and 129. I'm laying the points. Bradley and Valparaiso. My projection is Bradley by a half. And it's Bradley 1.5, total 135. I'm taking the over. Northern Iowa and Evansville. My projection is Northern Iowa by 9. And it's 10 and 132. I'm taking the over. UMass LaSalle. My projection is UMass by 5 or 4 1/4. And it's LaSalle by 1, total 149. I'm taking UMass plus the 1 and minus 108 straight up. St. Bonaventure and George Mason. My projection is Bonaventure by 10 and 5/8. And It's 2.5 and 133.5. I'm laying the points. The Kane St. Joe's. My projection is St. Joe's by 5 3/4. And it is, let's see here, 3.5 and 141. I'll lay the points. Wofford Chattanooga. My projection is Chattanooga by 13. And it's 4.5 and 136.5. I'm laying the points. VMI Furman. My projection is Furman by 12 3/8. And it's 9 and 152. I'm laying the points. UNT Greensboro and East Tennessee State. My projection is ETSU by 6 3/4. And it's 5.5 and 127.5. I'm laying the points. Western Carolina and the Citadel. My projection is Citadel by 6 3/4. And let's see here. Can't even find it. So it is 6.5 and 155.5. Under. ESPNU, Vandy, South Carolina. My projection is South Carolina by 5 1/4. And it's 1 and 134.5. I'm laying the 1. SEC Network, Arkansas, Ole Miss. My projection is Arkansas by 7. 3.5 and 140.5. I'm laying the points. Iowa State, 8 o'clock, number 23, Iowa State at Oklahoma State. My projection is Oklahoma State by 3 1/8. And I don't see a line out for this game. 3.5 and 124.5. For Oklahoma State. I'll go with the over. UCF and Wichita State. My projection is Wichita by 3 5/8. And it is 4.5 and 133.5. Over. Tarleton Lamar. My projection is Lamar as a 6-point underdog. And it is so weird. Excuse me. I don't see a line out for this one either. Abilene Christian and Texas Rio Grande Valley. My projection is Christian by 12. There's a lot of lines not out yet for some of these games. Oklahoma, West Virginia's out. That game's on ESPN2 tonight. My projection is West Virginia by 7 7/8. And it's 2 and 131. I'm laying the points. Drake, Illinois State. My projection is Drake by a whopping 16. And it's 2.5 and 144.5. I'm laying the 2.5 with Drake. George Washington, St. Louis. My projection is St. Louis by a whopping 23 7/8. And it's 16.5 and 142.5. I'm laying the points. Mercer Sanford, my projection is Mercer by 3 7/8. And it is Sanford by 1, total 148.5. I'm taking Mercer plus the 1 and then whatever the money line is. 8:30 Fox Sports 1, number 22 Marquette at Seton Hall. My projection is Seton Hall by 10 3/4. And it's 5 and 146.5. I'm going to lay the 5 here with Seton Hall over Marquette. VCU at number 25 Davidson. My projection is Davidson by 5 5/8. And it's 4 and 129. I'm going to take the over. Big Ten Network, Penn State, Indiana. My projection is Indiana by 13 5/8. And this line is 8.5 and 128. I'm going to lay it 8.5. 9 o'clock on SEC Network, Texas A&M at number 19 LSU. My projection is LSU by 7. It's 9 and 130.5. I'm taking A&M in the points. Tulsa Tulane on ESPN. My projection is Tulane by 3 5/8. And it's 3 138.5. I'm taking the over. NC State Notre Dame. My projection is Notre Dame by 9 3/4. And let's see here. 5 and 143.5. Laying the 5. Florida State and Georgia Tech on ACC Network. My projection is Florida State by 11 1/4. And it's 5 and 137. I'm laying the 5. Utah, Washington State. My projection is Washington State by 9 7/8. The next game is at 10 o'clock on the Pac-12 Network. And it's 7 and 136. I'm going to lay the 7. Sam Houston, Cal Baptist. My projection is Cal Baptist by 3 3/8. And it is Sam Houston State by 1.5, total 136.5. Wrong team's favor. Give me Cal Baptist plus 2.5 and whatever the money line is. Stephen F. Boston, Seattle. My projection is Seattle by 2 2/4. And it's 3.5 and 139.5. I'll take the over. And last but not least, 10:30 on Fox Sports 1, San Diego State and Utah State. My projection is San Diego State by 7 3/4. And it's 2 and 126.5. I'm going to lay the 2 with San Diego State against Utah State. All right, now move on to the Australian Open. We'll recap everything from last night into this morning. Look ahead to everything going on. So we don't have anything today. But we'll just talk about what's going on. All right, men's. Quarterfinals, 17 of Matteo Berrettini over 17 seed Gail Monfils in 5 sets. The rest of the quarterfinals, 2 seeded Daniil Medvedev over 19 Felix Auger-Aliassime in 5 sets. And 4 seeds Stefano Tsitsipas over 11 seeded Jannik Sinner in 3 sets. So the first semifinal is tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. 17 to Matteo Berrettini and 16 to Rafael Nadal. Women's quarterfinals. 17 to Iga Swiatek over Kaya Kanepi in 3 sets. 27 seeded Danielle Collins over Elias Cornet in 2 sets. And 1 seeded Ashley Barty over 21 seeded Jessica Pegula in 2 sets. We have 2 semifinals is tonight. 3:30 a.m. 1 seeded Ashley Barty and Madison Keys. I can't wait for this match. This is going to be fun. Barty's minus 410. Keys is plus 310. Set betting. I'm going to go Ashley Barty 2-1 at plus 250. And at 4:45 a.m., tomorrow morning. 27 seeded Danielle Collins and 7 seeded Iga Swiatek. Swiatek's minus 150. Collins is plus 128. Set betting, I'm going to go Swiatek 2-1 plus 290. As we'll have a Barty Swiatek final, which would be a lot of fun. Any of these finals would be fun. If it's Keys Collins, Barty Swiatek, Barty Collins, Keys Swiatek, they'll all be interesting matchups for sure. All right, now I'll move on to news and notes for today. The big story from yesterday was the Hall of Fame. And the lone person voted in this year, former Red Sox slugger David Ortiz. 77.9% of the votes. So congrats to Big Papi. I thought Big Papi would get in most likely. So it was just cool to see him. As Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens fall short, as they each got over 60% of the vote. Bonds 66, Clemens 65.2. Scott Rowland got 63.2, Kurt Schilling 58.6, Todd Helton 52. Billy Wagner, 51. Andrew Jones, 41.4. Gary Sheffield, 40.6. Alex Rodriguez, 34.3. But it's been updated since. Ortiz, and this is 54.1% of the ballots. So this could change. So again, Ortiz 81.7. This is updated. Barry Bonds 77. Roger Clemens 75.6. Scott Rowland 71.4. Kurt Schilling 62. Todd Helton 56.8. Billy Wagner 52.6. Gary Sheffield 48.4. Sells Andrew Jones. A-Rod 38. Manny Ramirez 36.2. Jeff Kent 33.3. Sammy Sosa 24.4. Andy Pettit 10.8. Omar Vizquel and Bobby Abreu 10.3. Jimmy Rollins 9.9. Mark Burley 5.2. And then just under the 5% Mendoza line, Tim Lincecum 2.8, Tim Hudson 2.3, Joe Nathan 1.9, Torrey Hunter and Ryan Howard 1.4, AJ Persinski, Justin Morneau, Mark Teixeira, Jonathan Papelbon 0.5%, and Jake Peavy, Prince Fielder, and Carl Crawford all got 0% of the vote. And Poppy got the call and hugs Pedro Martinez after getting the call from Cooperstown, which was awesome. Some football stuff. The big football story from yesterday is that Sean Payton is leaving the Saints, as he formed a team. He's stepping away, and the hot rumor is that he's going to take a couple years off with no really great quarterbacks and whatnot. I don't blame Sean Payton. I think he's going to end up at Fox somehow. I don't know if it's going to be temporary or long-term. There's speculation about him replacing Aikman, but we'll see. And the Saints are in salary cap hell. $74 million over the cap. And maybe I'll do a special show tonight to talk about like the ramifications of the Saints thing and whatnot. The Bears finally pulled the trigger and hired a GM. Ryan Poles, the Chiefs executive director of player personnel. This was a finalist for the Giants job, and he ultimately lands in Chicago with the Bears. So we'll see if he has a say in this coaching hire or not. Antonio Brown speaks on the Bucs relationship as the team offered him $200,000 to get mental health treatment in an exclusive interview on HBO. No Brady decision this week as he drops an appreciation post of 2021 with acknowledging he won't be announcing his future just yet. And the Vikings are closing in on a GM hire. The Browns' Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. That would be an interesting hire as he has worked in the Browns front office for the past 2 years. There's some thought around the league that the Bears will pair Jim Caldwell with newly hired GM Ryan Poles. So that would be a good hire if the Bears were able to pull off Jim Caldwell. The All-American rosters are out for college basketball, with Duke and Kentucky obviously leading the way. It's Nick Smith of Arkansas, Derek Levi of Duke, Amiri Bailey of UCLA, Keontae George of Baylor, Tariq Whitehead of Duke. These are all commits, by the way. Anthony Black doesn't know where he's going yet. Adam Bona of UCLA, Grady Dick of Kansas, Jaden Bradley of Alabama, Chris Livingston of Kentucky, Brandon Miller of Alabama, Julian Phillips of LSU, Mark Mitchell of Duke, MJ Rice of Kansas, JJ Starling of Notre Dame, Dylan Mitchell of Texas, Arndio Morris of Texas, Carson Wallace of Kentucky, Jarris Walker of Houston, Cam Whitmore of Villanova, Najee Wright of USC, Khalil Ware of Oregon, Jordan Welsh of Arkansas, and Ernest Uday of Kansas. And that game will be on ESPN in Chicago on March 29th. There's a lot of buzz that Chris Mack may get fired from Louisville as the school leadership is discussing Mack's future, which could lead to a change. There's a lot of rumors about James Harden potentially leaving the Nets and has frustrations about part-time Kyrie. So that's really interesting. Nikita Kucherov's in COVID protocol. Eric Carlson has surgery on his left forearm and will be reevaluated in March. Rangers, Bruins, Flames, Wild all have interest in JT Miller ahead of the trade deadline. That feels very Bruinsy to me. A couple more things. NBA. Tim Hardaway Jr. fractured his foot in the game last night against the Warriors. Derek Jones out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured right index finger. Cody Zeller out 8 to 10 weeks as he's getting knee surgery. Kevin Durant missed the All-Star game due to his knee injury. Anthony Davis came back for Brooklyn last night. James Harden says, I want to win. I'm frustrated because I want to win, he says. DeMar DeRozan says, I'm the MVP. I came into the season thinking I was the MVP, he said. And the NBA Rising Stars game has a new format. 4 7-player teams will compete in a mini tournament consisting of 3 games. Each game will be played to a final target score. Pool of 28 players, 12 NBA rookies, 12 NBA sophomores, and 4 top young players from the G League Ignite. NBA players will be selected by NBA assistant coaches. Ignite players will be selected by NBA G League head coaches. Teams will be coached by members of the NBA 75th anniversary team and assistant coaches from the NBA All-Star Game coaching staffs. Coaches will select their team rosters in the Rising Stars draft. Each team will have 1 Ignite player. Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D in the semifinal games. 2 winning teams will meet in the final game. The competition will consist of a race to 75 points to honor the NBA's 75th anniversary season. And the semifinal games will be played to a final target score of 50. And the final game We played the final target score of 25 for a total of 75 across the semifinal and the final. So that is pretty neat. And then non-sports related news, major snowstorm could blanket the Northeast this weekend, so that could affect some sports in terms of cancellations and postponements in the Northeast. Elton John tests positive for COVID-19 and postpones Texas concerts. Hopefully he'll be okay. Elton's old. And he's been in good health over the last couple years, which is good. But hopefully he gets by COVID here and gets back to his tour, the Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour. And very sad news. NYPD officer Wilbert Mora dies days after the Harlem ambush killed partner. So thoughts and prayers to the NYPD and Wilbert Mora's family. Just awful. That scene was just so sad. Alrighty. Last but not least, my best bet of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel. This was a tough one for me because there's so many good ones. And I think that you can't go wrong on a couple of these. And best bet now on the year, a staggering 15-2. College basketball will be where it's at today. And the game I liked, I'm going to go with the team that I just think is playing good basketball right now. It's a juice number, but I think that they're going to win this game by double digits. I'm going to lay 5 with Florida State against Georgia Tech. I'm going to lay 2 units. Florida State -5 against Georgia Tech. I almost went West Virginia against Oklahoma, but that is just a little wonky of a line, so I went with Florida State instead. All right, so that's it for the show today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything from tonight, looking ahead to tomorrow. And then we'll get into the next PGA tournament as well. So I hope you guys have a great day, everyone.